ahead without me.
Yeah, I'm live.
I mean, I'm just starting because I mean, I'm gonna be able to cut it after.
You're all live and you haven't even told me?
Didn't you ask that if we were live and like two of us were like, yeah, I'm live. Well, I already started being live. And I was like, I'm going live now.
Yeah, and I'm like, no, I'm, what? I figured we'd do a countdown and like 3,
Oh, well, I mean,
2,
it's better to have it ready since we're going to be editing at least the beginning part out,
3,
or I can.
2, 1, ignition, liftoff of the SCUM community suggestion live stream. What? Sorry.
Minutes. 11 minutes now.
It's okay. We're all good now. We're all set up, right?
Guys, calm down. Let's do our intro now that all of us are live.
Yeah.
Okay, we can start now.
Well, the intro is yours.
What do you mean? You didn't. I thought you said you were taking the helm of this because it's your suggestions.
After the intro, I'll do that.
Okay, fine. Okay, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Okay. Hey everyone, it's SlaveToTheGames here, and I'm here with my 3 friends. Kag, you can go first!
No, I was just sign languaging it as best as I can.
Really? Really?
Yeah, I don't know sign language. That was just giving it a shot.
That knows sign language could understand that.
Okay, well, you can kind of explain the video we're going to be doing for this stream.
Alright, well, it's the same crew as last time, because that was a mild success of a laughter ball. And this time we're going to be talking about suggestions and questions from various different social media. And on that note, maybe Slave to the Game can bring us in on what social media is.
Thanks for throwing that on me. Okay, well, guess what? It's pretty much where you can go when you don't have a. I mean, take it away, Syntex. You can do this. I got faith in you. You can explain what social media is to people who don't already know what the main thing to do in life is when you don't want to go outside.
Hey, Squatch! We have Squatch back.
Okay, never mind. Why don't we just explain who Cha0ticrob is?
Hello, I'm Cha0ticrob. I'm the random guy that has the giant wheel in front of my face.
Yeah.
I thought that was what your face looked like.
He doesn't have a mic.
What I want you to think.
Oh,
He's scrub level right now.
Well, I'll go next then. I'm completely average gaming. I'm, you know, average in all aspects of life.
Okay, that's it. I guess I'll fully explain other than introducing myself. I'm SlaveToTheGames. I'm out now branching into Twitch, and my main channel is YouTube right now. I release daily videos on SCUM right now, and it'll go all the way up to release. Hopefully you guys will be able to stop by, subscribe, and also follow me on Twitch. I'm actually really close to being able to become affiliate within the next 2 weeks. Now, Syntex, do you want to explain what you do exactly?
I try to look good in front of the camera, basically.
All right, so then we have our guy with the sex appeal.
Okay.
Well, yeah, you know, he's got the whole green screen, the studio mic, everything set up.
Yeah. Squatch is also asking how we're doing, by the way.
All good, all good. Thanks for asking.
Me too.
That's good.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. Sorry, Syntex.
No problem.
Back to who are you? Also, how are you doing, Squatch? And back to you, Syntex. Who are you?
Yeah, who are you?
So basically, I'm a metalhead from Croatia that streamed about a year ago, and I stopped because of a small child, and now I'm continuing. So, how shall we do this first? Shall we go from Reddit or suggestions, or?
I have the first suggestion or first topic of discussion.
Well, let's go into it then.
Because this is a good place to start, I feel, and as far as suggestions go. It's written a bit colorfully, so, you know, take that in mind. It's a metaphor. I'm hoping even our American friend can follow along. Give me a little laughter, at least. I don't feel bad about it. Thank you.
There you go.
Yes, our one American on the stream.
All right, so here goes. Be very careful, developers. If you let the diners start the diners start telling you what the menu should be, you will have a restaurant that no one will like. And if you do listen and implement ideas, every food critic on the server will demand that their whims be met, including the gluten-free options. We all hate those. Because they will tell you it's what the majority wants, encouraging even more bizarre menu choices. Developers, it's your game. Please make good decisions and let the players vote and with our clicks and wallets. So, in other
when it comes
words,
to the food choices, I would personally
I get what you
recommend making it so that it's only foods that can be made over top of a campfire would be available.
I'm
Anything
pretty
that
sure.
can't be made over top of a campfire, like camping style, that like baking and stuff like that, I seriously doubt should be in the game.
I'm just gonna say I'm pretty sure this isn't about the actual food recipes in the game.
Hey, they
I'm
said
pretty-
stuff about nutrition. They said stuff in the post about actual food comment and whatnot.
I think what they were going for is that they want to make sure that not every single thing somebody says to add to the game is going to be added because it could end up ruining the game.
boom. That's how I understood it.
that's how I took it. But I mean, hey, if it was a question about food, I mean, you got that. You explained it to the person if that's what they wanted to know.
I thought
Either way,
Canadians-
both points of view have been worded now.
I thought Canadians were gonna be, you know, a little up there in stuff. But okay. What do you guys think? Should the developers just take in whatever they can, or should they use a little discretion?
Of course not.
I don't think so. I think they should control what they decide to implement into the game by fans' opinions.
Mm-hmm. I just want to say, if we're just going to be answering, I don't think so, I think so, then I think this stream is going to be very short.
Okay, well, I mean, to give a specific example, I can do that. To go more in depth, this is basically if they're going to sit there and take from what we as fans want for the game to come out, I think that's a great idea. I think being able to listen to the community and pretty much give back or give them what they want is great. I just don't think every single idea that's released is gonna help the game, gonna make it better. Sure, there could be things whereas like somebody's like, oh, well, maybe you should add like this gun or this gun or this gun. But then maybe they'll kind of turn out like, for example, let's say Arma 3 is it. Have you guys played Arma 3?
Oh yeah.
No.
Oh yeah.
It's a base game. You already know how to explain that. It's a base game, military simulation. And then they have all these different types of modes and like so many modes that like the people who play it are extremely diverse in where they're going. There isn't really a narrow and one single point to where people are going to be. And I think that when they're making SCUM, they want it to be where you could choose which events you go into. And if you don't want to, you don't have to. Where it's kind of a smaller version of Arma 3, in my opinion, in that aspect. But I don't think that they should go as in-depth as Arma 3 did, with all the different types of modes and all the different types of servers, and just, there's a lot. And you know that they added mods to it too, that will even impact, like, if you go to a certain server, you'll have to have these certain mods in order to go into it. That, in my opinion, is going too far for SCUM as a game.
Well, personally, when it comes to
I wouldn't say
mods,
so.
as you mentioned, I quite enjoy the fact that they're not going to be allowing mods until after EA has ended.
Yeah, they will eventually, though. So I think mods can be great, but at the same time, depending on how they do it, they can overstep what they're currently able to do and have too many features planned that they won't really be able to prioritize the right ones at this moment. I think they should really look to optimizing what they currently have and what we've already gone over as facts for the game, kind of get all that out eventually, moving it step by step. And then after it's a working game with all of these things implemented, move on from there.
Don't forget about fixing the animations, because there was that one throw animation when they did the live stream the other day.
Syntax, yeah?
Syntax?
I would say that mods aren't even supposed to be in early access games or games that are, alpha, beta, that aren't basically finished. Take a look at Skyrim, for example. that game wouldn't be half as popular as it is if there weren't any mods. It's gone so far that the devs themselves even got used to mods fixing bloody problems in the game. But still, we love Skyrim just because of the fact it's so moddable. You can do whatever the hell you want in that game. And I think it will also be good for SCUM as well, but only after the game is fully released, fully polished, and all the, bugs and whatnot gone.
I think I agree with you in that sense. It's just, I guess what I could counter with is, I'm a person when I play games like this, like Ark, Rust, etc., and it's gonna be SCUM, to where I do like modding games like Skyrim and Fallout. Fallout, mentionally, I have 268 mods on it. But so it shows I spent time. But it's the max amount of mods you can have. But I love modding. I really like. Well, it's the max amount of mods that Nexus Mod Manager allows you to have. But anyways, before getting off topic with that,
Yeah.
I really enjoy being able to do what I want with Fallout 4 and modding it. Now, with SCUM, if it was a single-player game, I would love that. Because, personally, I like modding single-player games. But SCUM isn't. So, well, yeah. But I want to play the official servers, play the game how it was meant to be made. And then if there's, like, a modded server where somebody's like, okay, we're going to add more zombies and, like, try to make it more apocalyptic and stuff like that, I definitely will lean towards that. But I myself have no interest in making my own mods for it or using my own mods. So basically, most of my time is going to be spent on official servers that SCUM makes itself instead of other people's servers.
Yeah, at least until those fill up.
We have a couple of good pointers here from the chat as well. Stuart, who you might remember from our last stream, says the devs need like an appreciation post or something. People are dicks, and I'll be banned from YouTube for saying that, but to them, and they seem to work really. People are dicks to them, and they seem to work really hard. I'm usually not too sympathetic to game developers, but these guys need a break. And it's a little to the side of what we talked about, but it sort of ties into it, because if you don't listen to your community, a lot of people rage out, right?
Yeah.
In terms of features and feature requests and feature wants and whatnot. I'm going to come at this from a little bit of a different angle than you guys did, because I've played a couple of games whom implement sort of voting systems in the game, like Production Line and Airport CEO, for example, where you vote on what kind of feature you want to add next, right? And you get sort of the community's general opinion on a subject. But my sort of problem with that is the same problem I have with direct democracies, in that not everyone's going to give a damn, and then you get the only people who are going to vote are the diehard fans, and diehard fans will play the game anyways, and the not so diehard fans will just ignore the voting system and stop playing the game because they don't like the features and the order of things, making for the game to lose its momentum, meaning less money for the devs, meaning shorter development time and less total amount of features, and in a less chronological order. So I would say no, don't do everything the community says, but listen to the community and try to implement as much as possible that is in line with the developer's image of what the game is going to be. Yes,
I actually agree, and I just remembered something from the Pirates of the Caribbean. I'm guessing everybody watched it here.
Yep.
Does anybody remember how Barbosa tells somebody that rules aren't actually rules, they are more like guidelines?
Oh, you're talking the first movie, okay.
Okay.
So I think that devs should be something with the community, something like that. Do not go for something just because the majority wants it. The devs themselves need to decide if it's good for the game. They can take suggestions, of course. They should listen to the community. I mean, that's how you improve a game, mainly. You see what your community wants. But if you feel like it's not supposed to be in the game, if it doesn't feel good for the game, then they shouldn't do it. Because the ones
Or-
that have a vision of how the game should be.
Or
Yeah.
if it's counterintuitive to the realism. Even
Well,
if
I
they are
mean-
trying to make the game as realistic as possible.
I wouldn't say they're trying to make it as realistic as possible, because in something that I read from them, they said that they want to be able to make it as realistic as possible in certain aspects, but in other aspects, make it have the appearance of realism, more as basically making the visual effects look as realistic without trying to make it too hardcore of a game. They want to meet somewhere in the middle of realism and convenience for players. Because they don't want to make this, for example, say Escape from Tarkov, where that one's going for like full on like realism. When you heal, you're gonna need
Simulation
animations.
style, yeah.
Exactly. They want it to be an in-between simulation, but still be able to have that novelty of playing for the people who don't actually want to go hardcore in, like the casual players. They want to be able to be in the middle of casual and hardcore.
And we're also playing on a 2D screen, right? So you don't get all the immersion that you get as a real human being running around in the streets, doing your thing. You hear things behind you to decide. You have your what do you call it? Peripheral vision.
Peripheral vision, yeah.
Yeah. So you get a lot more. You have a lot more sensor impression when you live, basically. Also, hi, the master. Also, come from a little bit of a different angle than some of us did. Overloaded says, I think they should see what the community is saying and figure out why they are saying what they're saying. They should find out the root cause of why people are upset.
Well, that's a basic thing to do when your community is upset. So, yeah, it should be. But I think that the actual discussion was if they should completely listen to the community or not.
Sure,
And
but
I
it's a
believe there
relevant
should
point,
be
though.
a line between listening and not listening. Like you said, they should stick true to what they want the game to be. But at the same time, I also think that to make the game successful, because I understand sticking, like you said, sticking true to their idea of the game. But at the same time, if they never listen to what the community says, the community is most likely going to ignore it, and they're not going to want to play the game. Like, they're going to want to feel valued in their opinion and what they want. And it's, say, like, if we all right now were just like, okay, I really wish that this type of car was in the game, and then we hopped in the game and like it was suddenly in the game at one point, we'd be like, oh my god, they actually listened. This is amazing. But at the same time, you don't want it to be like, okay, I want to be able to fight people with rubber chicken heads, because that would be comedic.
Sure.
Like,
Well,
you know what I mean?
As you mentioned,
I
the
could see
first
something like that being
cars-
introduced as a mod sometime in the future.
I want.
yeah.
I want to.
But as you mentioned,
Sorry. Go ahead, Syntex.
for instance, you mentioned cars. So let's say somebody wants a Jeep of sorts, a military vehicle that fits the feeling of the game. No problem with that. But what if somebody wants a fucking UFO or something, you know?
Sure.
They need to draw a line somewhere.
Absolutely. Now, I want to say that and I might be completely wrong about this. This is just my intuition talking. I think that SCUM has grown in its reception in the market, meaning its players, to a point where the team developing it and the community team over at Gamepires isn't really big enough to handle it, right? But they haven't gotten any revenue from it yet, so they can't really expand upon their team without, doing loans or something or other. And they also want to keep their finances safe for the future, so that if everything goes bottoms up, then they have a possibility to rectify the situation and make another game.
Sorry, I'm replying to somebody, but I definitely agree with you. Once the money comes in, I definitely be able to do a lot more, because, as you said, you can't make a game without money. You can't implement anything without money. So I definitely think that with the amount of people, at least I hope, and I really, really do hope that everybody watching this and anybody who isn't watching this buys this game, because I definitely think it's going to be worth it in the long run. And I definitely think it's worth it at launch right now, because like we said previously before, from what we've seen at the very basic stage of SCUM, in my opinion, it still seems like a better game than going back to DayZ right now.
Yeah.
At least in my opinion. So I think
Definitely.
that if people buy this game, hopefully a lot, with the money that they get from this, they'll be able to start implementing all the features that they wanted. At least the features that we all went over in our previous stream. And even with the stream that's going then, and that everything we mentioned then, and then the base game, I think that could be considered a full game before they start going in and taking like every single thing in and expanding on the game. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like a version 1, and with everything that we've seen so far and everything we've gathered, that already in my mind is a perfect game to buy and spend time on.
Sure. We can move on to Squatch also says thoughts on possibly being able to fortify secret locations found hidden within the world as a base.
I definitely think there's going to be secret locations, and before we go into this, Deabate, he's going to be leaving. He says he's definitely going to be buying the game, and he hopes it doesn't get ruined by anything really in general. He's really seems to have high hopes on it. And he's actually asking us how we three are related to the game. So basically, I'm related to the game as I actually was just on Steam stumbling through upcoming games a couple months ago, and I saw SCUM and I was like, well, what's this game? And I opened up the trailer, I heard John Dick talking, and I loved hearing his voice because it was hilarious for the video. And then after watching all of the videos in a straight row, I was instantly hooked for the game. I instantly wanted to play the game, and I was like, well, this is unfortunately going to be like a year or two before I'm going to play it, but I'll put it in my wish list. And then, all of a sudden, they were like, oh, it's coming out in August. So that's how I got hooked. What about you, Syntex?
I'm the game's half-brother. Next.
Okay. How about you, Keg?
I'm not sure if it was Gamepires or what video it was, but I saw some YouTube video. I want to say about a year ago, maybe a little less, like around Christmas maybe, and it was the topic of the video was about the detail of realism in the game. Like I'm not sure if it was the wetness one, maybe.
Was that one?
Well, that one was pretty new, wasn't it? I don't remember which one.
That was actually a new one, but that's okay.
Yeah. No, 7 months ago, pre-alpha, wetness. Found it on YouTube. See, I was doing multiple things at once. 7 months ago, they released a video about wetness, and I was like, "Damn, son, I wanna play this game." And then it turns out it didn't really release yet, but
Okay, what about you, Chaotic?
Well, I found it while I was looking up some survival games that I was interested in, and it definitely piqued my interest, especially with the whole metabolism factor. It's definitely something I've been looking for quite a while in a survival game.
I can agree with that, because honestly, I was interested before learning about the metabolism and how your body can change and gain muscle, lose muscle, gain fat, lose fat. That was actually one of the most important facts that got me interested after watching the trailer and the videos. I saw it and I was like, are you kidding? Like, I'm actually going to see character development on my character versus, like, how I play the game? And I'm not just talking skill-based. I'm talking you actually see your character change over time.
Yeah, the physiology of your character will change depending on how the attributes change.
Do any of you guys remember on Steam, pre-alpha, they asked for help from the community. The community who wanted to, of course, should have measured their heartbeat, their calorie intake, calorie loss, should have ran a mile, and after running, they needed to take their heartbeats and stuff like that and send them to the devs so that that they have realistic measurements.
I actually saw that was mentioned, but I got into it at a certain point, and as soon as I did is when I started gathering all the facts for the series I have. So I haven't really seen that specific update and what they really did with it. I just kind of glanced over it, saw that it was open, but I knew it had already passed, so I didn't look too much into that.
I found out about the game through Steam, the Steam recommendation thing.
Yeah.
And I found out about the game, I'd say about a month or so before they posted help about those informations needed. And as soon as I saw that they needed information like that, like, holy hell, this is gonna be good. And I nearly even did the thing myself, but unfortunately, yeah, you know, time wasn't good. So
Daddy Clink actually says, with all the realism, I would love them to make you pee or poop in the game, as bad as that sounds, but I can actually confirm you will actually be able to do that in the game, so...
And they
Not
did
only
that on
that,
the
you'll be
developer
able to
stream.
take the poop that you just pooped and throw it at somebody.
Oh, okay. And as you were saying, Keg, I didn't quite hear you. You guys both started talking at the same time.
In the development stream, what is it? Seno? Actually peed, and the guy playing was looking over at him while he was doing it.
Oh, okay.
Fun
I mean,
fact.
I've seen plenty of trailers where you see them doing things. And one thing I'd like to mention quickly, I never actually take a trailer too much into account. I see it as a marketing thing, and I think it's correct to do it. But at the same time, if like how you see everything in the trailer, I don't say, okay, that's definitely going to be a feature in the game, because it's not actual gameplay. Because plenty of games have done it before where they make trailers, and they're like, oh, well, look at him jumping up the walls. And then you get in the game, and you can't jump up the walls. And you're like, but, I mean, he did that in the trailer. So once I got over that, I decided I was no longer going to actually take into fact what the trailer did and wait for actual gameplay so I could see what the gameplay actually was showing.
Yeah, a lot of the time cinematic trailers are pretty misleading.
wasn't there like a gameplay video, I think, even, in which there were 4 convicts on top of a police station pissing on a guy below them?
Yes, there was.
Yeah.
But again, as Daddy Clink said, he's mentioning how it doesn't actually translate most of the time sometimes, which is pretty much going off what I was saying. Meaning as you can see a feature, and then it could be said that the feature is going to be there. But, I mean, does it actually end up being there in the end? You know, sometimes it doesn't, and that's an actual worry that I believe some people can actually worry about, where a feature's promised and it just doesn't come. Daisy.
The game we keep coming back to.
Bad against Daisy. For fuck's sake, they gave us gardening.
All right, so,
Okay.
fair enough. The game is saved now.
And then Daddy Clink. Oh, sorry.
Aiden McFadden, either or, says, I heard somewhere that the price for SCUM will rise as more content is added. How do you think the audience will react to this as more people hear about the game and become interested?
Honestly, I think people, especially this day and age, and this is obviously just my opinion, so I could be wrong, and obviously other people have different opinions, but my opinion is, I personally, as an audience for the game and a viewer for the game and wanting to get it, I don't see that as too much of a problem, because most games that come out nowadays in early access are constantly changing and are always changing, and it starts at an earlier price and then goes up. So my opinion on that would be, well, if you want to get it early, you get it for a cheaper price. Where if you get it when it comes out, it's going to be more expensive, most likely. So it really depends on, do you want to get it early or do you want to get it when it releases? And is it worth getting it a little bit more expensive than it is now on early release? And as you're saying, Syntax?
Personally, let's make a comparison. You want to buy a new pair of boots. Do you want to buy a fake leather pair of boots that's cheaper?
But gets better over time.
Do you want to buy a genuine leather type of boots? Do you want them polished? You know, if you want a cheaper price.
Daddy Clink actually says that he will pay for the DLC if it comes out for SCUM. If DLC comes out, he will pay for it. But he does not like microtransactions, and I can actually say that there's not going to be microtransactions in this game.
They've already said that they don't plan to have a DLC that you have to pay for as well.
Yeah, but on the note of DLCs, though, I'm cool with DLCs as a concept and the way a lot of people do it. But looking at The Sims, where you have DLCs for the flippin' DLCs.
Oh my god. The Sims DLCs are so frigging brutal.
Yeah, you buy you pay $10 in order to put a dog in the flipping game. Then you paid another $8 just to be able to dress the dog in one piece of clothing. And then you buy another DLC for $10, adding a different breed of dog. But that doesn't fit the first tier of
Daddy
clothing.
Clink also says that he doesn't mind if DLC comes out or if it's a monthly thing, as long as he gets new content. He paid a 15-month for a game before for 3 years. But pretty much what he's saying is, as long as content's being brought out, it doesn't matter if it's in a DLC form or not. He just doesn't want to deal with microtransactions as a whole or not getting what he's paying for.
Well, I think we all want that.
Yeah,
But,
I'd say we're all
there's
probably
only-
in agreement with that.
There's
Yeah.
only like 2 games that I agree with their DLCs, and those 2 games are actually The Witcher 3, and if any of you know Gothic 2, Night of the Raven expansion.
Nope.
Seriously?
I do know Witcher
I'm not
3!
familiar with the Gotham.
Yeah, me too.
Nobody.
No, I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
It's my favorite game, for fuck's sake. I'm
One
not you
sec.
guys.
Gothic 3, what?
Gothic 2.
I'm using my
Yeah.
memory to remember this.
It didn't survive till 3.
Okay.
It
So it's
did.
called.
It even got number 4, but that was done by the publishers, not the developers, because they got in a fight. So yeah.
All right.
Anyways, but the point of that is their DLC is either free, and then it's like, you can have different appearances for characters in game or some small things like that, or you have something that's true to what it was before, a complete expansion.
Okay,
With a shit ton
so
of content.
from what you're going on, say they do it like WoW, for instance, to where like the game releases, it has this whole island, and eventually through a paid DLC, they release an expansion into the world, but you can only go to that expansion if you paid for this DLC. Is that something you would support?
I want to just jump in there and say that the way to do DLCs in that regard is to do it the same way as Arma 3 does, where you can actually go there. You don't have a hypothetical barrier stopping you from taking another step, but you get it. You can play with the content, but you get these semi-annoying pop-ups saying, "Hey, bud, if you want to see more of this or drop this idiotic message, be sure to buy the DLC and support further
I
development."
think for me, I'd actually have to disagree with how you view it, because for for me, I would have to say I prefer to say, for example, the whole island comes out, and obviously they're not going to expand into the world, or maybe they will. That's a very different topic, though. But say they build an underground bunker that opens up into a whole entire new system of things that you can go in. But the only way to get it is to get the DLC. Now, if I don't have the DLC and I can just go in there, I'm not going to want to pay for the new features, me personally. But say it's separate from escaping the island too. Like, you don't have to get this DLC to beat it. It's just something new. Like a new, like say for season 3, they're like, oh, okay, well, this new area, if you pay for this DLC, you can go into this area that has connecting tunnels and a new system and an underground lab, like etc., like stuff like that. Sure, it's like maybe $15-20, and then relative to the size and what you get in the content. To me, I feel a little bit more special buying the DLC and then going in and then having other people who don't have it like be able to like, oh yeah, well I got it and I went in there. Whereas other people like, oh yeah, well I went in there, but I don't want to really buy the whole thing. It feels less special to me if anyone can go in versus if somebody who buys the DLC then can go in. If that makes sense.
I personally am an opposite point of view. I personally hate the whole concept of locking areas to DLC content only.
Well, what I mean is, for this is the locking of areas.
With what you're describing, you can't even access the area unless you buy the DLC.
Yes. But what I mean is by locking the
hate
area,
that concept.
I don't mean locking the map that's already there. Like, to be, for an example, what I mean is, like, say, like I said, it wasn't a shelter in this one mountain, right? And then the DLC adds that shelter. It's not locking anything that already was in the base game, but it's also making sure you have to get the DLC to go into this new area. That's what I mean versus locking, which obviously if you don't like that, then then you don't like it. But to me, that's why I'm okay with it, because it wasn't already in the base game.
I just
Alright.
think it should just be introduced as an update in the game rather than a.
Oh, I definitely agree.
downloadable
I definitely
DLC.
agree.
I just want to say that it's beautiful to have something that we're not entirely agreeing on.
Yeah. I mean, like I'm saying, if it came out as an update and just released over time, I'm happy with that. I prefer that. I'm just saying if we had to go on that topic of suggestion versus DLC versus subscription versus just regular updates, if I had to choose between if I wanted to have it open to everyone but not be able to have all the implemented features unless you buy it, or a DLC, I'd prefer a DLC than that. I would prefer it to be free, though.
Yes, Syntex, you're the one raising your finger, and can I talk?
Yeah,
but we have to keep in mind, since it's been already said, there won't be any microtransactions. They will need to make some kind of money, and I believe that there will be some kind of DLC or expansion stuff, especially
Maybe
if
it's
the
a
game's
battle
gonna.
pass.
Don't bring that bad juju.
Honestly, I could see them doing something like a Patreon page just to keep the funding going for the servers.
That would have been awesome.
I think
But
there's
that-
a fault in that, though.
That doesn't get as much money as a DLC would. And
Yeah.
Sure.
So Patreon itself takes a percentage. I think that a DLC would be a good solution, but only if it has enough of quality content. If
See,
it's
now
just
with
some
DLCs,
bullshit
I
re-
personally
Oh.
think that DLCs should be cosmetic items only. Where
I
like,
disagree.
new skin, a reskin,
I
where it's
disagree
not
as
actually
well.
having an in-game effect.
I'm gonna have to say I
Cosmetic-
disagree completely with that, but I'll let you go, Syntex, and I'll go after you.
As far as cosmetics go, I believe they should be in microtransactions.
I disagree with that
there
too.
Any
Shut
kind
your
of
trap.
cosmetics at all.
Shut your trap right now.
Okay. Well then, how about this? I think I'll grab this and say I disagree with cosmetics, like for clothing or anything being microtransactions or being purchase only or anything like that. Unless in the microtransactions are being purchased, you can still get these things in the game. Because I like customizing my character and dressing him up to be spiffy or something like that, but I don't want to spend $5 for a t-shirt.
Oh no, what
I
I'm
didn't
talking
really
about
like-
is a way so that they can get continuous income while the game is out.
And as you were saying,
I-
So that the continuous income isn't actually affecting the gameplay.
I am.
And that's where the cosmetics come into play.
I am 100% cool with cosmetic DLCs, as long as they're not microtransactions. By the way, Syntex.
They're the same shit.
They are
No,
the
they're-
same.
No,
I have to say.
microtransactions
They're
is when
not.
there's
The
an
only difference,
in-game
no,
store.
sorry. The only difference is one is inside the game, the other is outside of the game.
Exactly.
And,
Yes, I
and
prefer
it
the
can
outside
be
one.
made. No, sorry. It can be made quite nicely inside of the game to not constantly pop in your eye or anything. You would barely even know it's there if it's done implemented correctly.
I
Well,
agree
if
with
there's
you.
a shop button on the menu or something, that'd probably be okay.
I get it.
Yeah,
I get
something
it. But
small.
But the
Something small.
reason why I'm against the microtransaction formula of things is because that would, if you go microtransactions on your cosmetics, it's a slippery slope down to it's only being cosmetic, and the people who want gameplay features rather than the cosmetic features won't get as much joy out of it because it's a lot more financially sound to make cosmetics.
I think for me in this, like I said, I'm the type of person who likes being able to go, like, say I go into this game, I don't want there to be, like, for instance, 15 articles of clothing and nothing else. Like, if they can add clothing, like, granted, I gotta point out that I understand they need to make money. I do. Because it's a game, they're gonna need to be able to make money to implement features. But at the same time, I want to take that selfishness as a gamer, because we all have this selfishness, to get whatever we can for free. And for me, if I'm able to customize my character, like hat, shoes, or jacket, and stuff like that, it feels a little bit more like I'm making this character my own. And I don't want to...
He was
I'm
raising
trying
one
to
hand,
get
so
one
I
hand up.
figured I'd do two.
Oh, I thought everybody was doing something. I was like, everybody's raising their hands.
It's like the thing with the thumb on the table. Like the last one has to run laps around their apartment, and the rest of us can sit here and
My
or
hands were up
house.
first.
Okay, but as you were saying, you wanted to say Syntex something, I'm assuming?
Yeah, I just wanted to elaborate. I didn't mean like regular cosmetics, like, you know, let's say there is a black T-shirt in the game. If you want to own a white one, you have to buy it.
So, like, are you talking about like weapon skins and stuff like that?
Yeah, weapon
yeah.
skins. Just
Something a bit more special. You know, not something like a plain old fucking T-shirt.
Oh, okay, I get what you mean.
Special
Like different
kind of-
colored stuff.
Well, yeah, you're reskinning an object is what you're doing with the skins.
Oh wait. Okay, so
Kind
Syntex, is it basically like instead of like let's say the base game has 15 clothing, and then out of those 15 clothing, every single clothing can have different colors. But if you want a specific cool design on it, or like this really badass gun that has like gold or something you wouldn't normally get in the game, it adds a little special decal to the game that makes it a little bit more special than the regular gear.
Like the Game Pirate
Usual
T-shirt that they had.
Yeah, something. Let's
One
say something
second,
that's
guys.
overdoing it for the
Space Plexity says, "What is playing in the background?" For me, it's actually the Christmas special trailer that they had.
For me, it's the development stream.
Same.
And for me, it's just the general release date trailer.
All right, I got a couple of comments from the chat as well on this topic. Overloaded says closed cosmetics would impact gameplay, of course, depending a bit on how they implement it and what kind of clothing.
Yeah, because of damage resistance.
Yeah, and also how visible it would be.
But no,
Other
if you think about
things
it
like that, choose and hair wouldn't.
reskinning.
What?
Continue, Ken.
If you think about it in terms of reskinning, it wouldn't affect any of the stats.
Well, no,
All
they
you're
have
doing is taking one that's already there
sure.
and giving it a new skin.
Sure, but you'd still have more trouble seeing someone with a camouflage clothing on rather than someone wearing, say, construction worker clothing.
Yes, but when it comes to cosmetics, they should make it so the cosmetic changes won't actually affect the in-game gameplay. For example, they have camo in the game, and camo will be readily available.
Sure.
But if they had a microtransaction that would turn any of your clothing into camo, I would be completely against that. Because it is affecting the in-game gameplay.
Sure.
Rather than just something to make your look more spiffy.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And then Just Eyes Gaming. You'll remember Just Eyes Airways?
Yeah.
From last one?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. He's back. Welcome back. He says, I think DLCs should not exist in the game. Paywalls for content is silly and can kill a game. I'm fine with paying with a $10 DLC every year, but if it's $15 every 3 months, I'd probably stop playing the game.
I agree.
Yeah, that's pretty brutal when that happens.
I don't like subscription-based games, in my own opinion. So,
like I play a large variety of games. So such as Planet Coaster, for example, which comes out with a DLC like 3 or 4 times a year, I think. I'm completely fine with buying it. I have no problems at all with it. I mean, they add a lot of great stuff to the game, and if you don't want to buy in, then you don't want to buy in. I get that I don't mean to sound cocky. I mean, I get that everyone doesn't have the ability to buy into all the DLCs and all the content, and I would really like a feature that didn't require people to be, don't get me wrong, but left behind. But still, I find it's the only way to get the game to get any updates and progression, because the developers need money. And like Planet Coaster, they also release, free updates along with the DLCs in order to, alright, you didn't want to buy into this DLC, but here you get a little bit more content anyways.
I'm still on the cosmetic only for DLCs. Anything that's non-cosmetic and actually affects your in-game gameplay, I think should just be an update that's added to the game.
No.
And then for additional money, they can have a cosmetic store kind of thing.
I think that if they were let's go on the topic of if they do add it, whether we want it to or not. Say they do add it because they want to make funds. I think the best way to implement a cosmetic store would be in the safe havens, because as I mentioned in the previous stream, we were talking about facts. They're going to allow you to purchase stuff there, purchase a key to a building, etc. There might be a place where you can actually walk up to a store and purchase these cosmetics inside the game, where it doesn't actually have to pop up as a window or anything or as a notification. You could just go to the store and you know that that's where you can get cosmetics for a certain amount of price. And maybe for people who don't want to spend money, they also add it to where you can spend fame points to get it as well, but make it obviously a lot higher, so it's worth the amount of money you would spend if you were spending it with cash.
Well,
It's
the
a way
only problem
to
with that is they would have to implement a currency conversion system where
Well, yeah.
your in-game fame would have an equivalent in real-life cash.
exactly, but they
because they're
could
not
do
doing
that.
pay to win, that would be something that I would be completely against.
Well, actually, just say they do cosmetics, something like that, where it doesn't actually affect, like, say it's just changing the color or the design of clothing or a weapon. It's not going to actually affect whether you kill someone or not. It's just changing how you look. If they only do it to where it changes just how you look and the style of your gun or something like that, but it's not actually doing something where, like, say you buy this cosmetic and your gun's now 20% more powerful, etc. If they just do things that change visual, I'm okay with that. It's fine, and this would be a great way for them to implement it.
Yeah, when it comes to the actual cosmetics themselves, I agree with you. What I'm talking about is the whole currency conversion system. That would turn the game into a pay-to-win.
Well,
then they could buy fame points instead of earning them.
Syntex, I'll let you go first because I have something to add to this, but you want to say something, so I want you to be able to voice out.
I believe there shouldn't be any way to buy fame points or anything like that, experience, skill upgrades, or whatever the hell. And the conversion, as you said, it's not really necessary. You can have a price for, let's say, real life money. You can have
And
a
then for fame.
price in fame.
Yeah, that's what I was going
Oh.
for. That's what I was going for. Like, you don't actually have to buy fame. You earn the fame in-game, and then you can spend it. You don't actually have to buy the fame, but you can spend real-life money to get this cosmetic, or you can spend time in-game to get it. And
whereas what we're talking about is how they can earn some extra money on the side. So being able to buy these items with fame points wouldn't really make sense with that concept, would it?
yes, it would. It would make sense. But
With
Kev, you're saying
Gamepire
something?
making extra money?
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. No,
because
well,
you could
yeah,
also
but...
buy it if you could also buy it with real currency. They would.
Yeah, but
yeah,
here,
you could buy it with currency, yes.
I get what you're saying, Chaotic. Chaotic, pretty much what you're saying is if they do that, they implement it to where you can get it with fame by playing the game, then they're gonna make less money essentially. But the thing is I'm saying if they make it to where you can get it with fame, make it to where it actually takes time to get this fame, to get that.
But
Because
not
then,
like Star Wars Battlefront 2, for example, where it takes...
No. Like where it takes where you can earn it with fame, but it's gonna take time to do it, so it doesn't feel like you could just do like a few matches. Like make it to where you're gonna do more than a few matches to get this. You need to actually work for this. Because it's the equivalent to real life money. But at the same time, make it to where you're not spending like 3 months just to get a red jacket that has a dragon on it or something like that.
Well, what I'm saying is by spending money to go and get those cosmetic items, you're showing the other people that are playing that you are essentially helping out Gamepires by giving them some extra money.
I agree with you, but
so
at the
having
same...
it that way, you're essentially advertising that you are supporting Gamepire beyond what the normal game offers.
Well, yeah, but as you're saying, it's you give people the choice to do it. Because you're not taking away from the people playing the game who want to earn the stuff in the game. And at the same time, if people are sit there and say they're casual and they go in and they don't want to take time to earn this, they can just spend money if they want to. It's giving them the choice to choose whether they want to do it or not.
Take out the whole earn thing. I'm saying make it so it be a purchase exclusive, but the purchase exclusive is an incentive cosmetic item only. It's not actually doing any gameplay effects.
As Nick's Genesis says, they say, I think they mentioned something about they will only have transactions for vanity/cosmetic items.
Exactly, yes.
I don't think they will allow you to buy fame, and I definitely agree that's definitely a fact that they mentioned, but pretty much what we're going for is if they did add this, how would they add it, and what would we be okay with? That's pretty much what we're going for, but Kaga, is that your symbol to talk now?
This is like a reply. This is like I have something new to say.
Oh, okay, reply, new to say.
And this is a factual correction.
Okay.
Okay, so everybody, we're gonna go tag now.
Sleepy Time adds another option of how the devs can make money and how it can add cosmetic items into the game.
Yeah.
Hang on. There we go. That should suck. That would suck. They should make the cosmetic Steam trading items. That way, the developers can make money, and also we can get cosmetic items. Syntax.
Okay, I'm talking. Considering the recent problems that came with Star Wars Battlegrounds, was it?
Battlefront.
Battlefront, whatever the hell, I don't like that game anyhow.
Know your
It's okay.
nerdy stuff.
There was also problems that Steam themselves had with their Dota 2 and CSGO cosmetic items. It was also labeled as gambling, and they had to what was it that they had to do? Cancel any kind of sales or some shit like that. And for now, they used a simple loophole by disabling the items for trade. So that's kind of risky to use Steam.
I've heard a different version of that where you have Illuminati hand signs by Squatch. He's found a name for it. But yeah, I've heard a different version of that where they you can see what you're gonna get next, so you remove the gambling aspect of it, but you can only get you see what you get next, so you have to basically just pay until you get what you want.
But wasn't that in some other game, I believe? I also heard about that. I'm literally talking about Dota and CSGO right now.
Yeah, I think that was
Steam
Valve who got that.
Market.
Wasn't it?
I don't think so. Valve had a problem. Wherefore, I think the Dutch community they had.
So it might actually be different in Norway because we're not in the European Union. It might be. I don't know.
I don't have any problems with that. I think it was just for the Dutch people, if I'm not mistaken. It's basically only one country that has problems with Steam's cosmetic items, and Steam was issued a ultimatum: either disable the store or simply pay a fine of, I don't know, 800 million euros or whatever the hell.
I do have something to point out, just to quickly, because I think after this, we should move on to another suggestion, since we're probably going to be on this topic for a while if we keep talking about it.
Yeah, before we move on to another topic, I just have somebody in my chat that just wants to add a little something to that. So they're giving a suggestion to, so I'm Special is the name of the person, is giving a suggestion of having a special currency available that you can win during events that you can use to get cosmetic items.
Are we doing 2 for a reply, or is it 1? Because I got something. Okay, 2 then.
Points.
Next, Ninx Genesis says, absolutely, it makes it impossible for people to make extra cash from the game, making it you can't trade these items you get for cosmetics. The only cash flow will go directly to the game developers instead of just being able to give it to other people.
Exactly, with being able to buy the
cosmetics. So I think with that, we should move on to another suggestion or another topic to talk about.
Weren't we supposed to talk about these suggestions from Discord?
We were, but people got questions, so it's fine. Let's move back to.
And also, we got quite a few things from the chat. First of all, this is like 30 minutes old at this point. I hope Phil is still here. Phil Octetizzle? You know, one of the guys I couldn't pronounce the name of last time
not pronouncing.
Who said, "I'm back, boys," which was cool back then. I should have,
way to be. No, I'm kidding.
So welcome back, Phil.
OSTTs.
Yeah, what he said. Was wondering, after seeing the game, the development gameplay, will there be a higher puppet spawn? I don't expect a World War Z for those of you who've seen that movie, but the world seemed a little dead. But maybe it's because the early state of the game.
I guess I could say that I really hope so. I hope that, as we were mentioning in the last stream before when we were talking about if people die when they get reanimated, if it just keeps growing and growing, until at some point, if it gets too much, it can be cold. But I really hope that it does do that. I don't have anything confirmed if there will be constant enemies added in terms of puppets or robots or drones or this just in, there's actually going to be killer pests in this that will be able to be used. So hopefully there's going to be more than just a DayZ or Rust version of AI. Hopefully there's a lot more than it actually feels like you're living in an apocalyptic world, not an empty apocalyptic world, but a full one.
I also want to
true.
I also want to add to that also what we talked about last time is that the developers have confirmed that they're going to be releasing a more basic version of the game now, and then they're going to be polishing that and making that work, and then they're going to move on and add and on to what we see in the beginning. Yes.
Okay. Nin Genesis says you will be able to modify puppet spawns if you own a private server, and that is actually true. You will be able to do that. But I think along the lines that's people who don't want to own private servers or host their own server or rent a server or go to another person's, maybe they're wondering if will it be more in the official servers, or will it just be like DayZ to where there's a few? I think that's really what the question going here is whether the world's going to feel full in the official servers, or if you're going to be required to go to a modified server or a rented server to be able to accomplish this.
I just want to
the
add,
devs really haven't gone into that too much.
I just want to add that I'm pretty sure we have none of the 10 diehard DayZ fans in either one of our chats, because they would have raged by now.
Oh, they definitely would. They would have been. They're like, "What are you talking about? There was 7 zombies at this one time."
I remember this one time. I had 2 coming at me over the field.
What I find the funniest is that I actually am a DayZ fan. I had a lot of fun in the game, but I also believe it's shit.
I think
suggestions.
I think that I agree with you. It was a great concept when it came out. It was really cool when it first came out. But as Nin Genesis says, the devs they didn't really succeed in the end.
Just to make this clear for everybody, Syntax here likes shit.
Syntax, as you were saying, you were trying to whisper something into the mic.
The DayZ devs should go to Mount Everest a bit less. Maybe the game would be better. Does any of you remember that shit?
Yeah.
No, actually. I kind of dropped and then came back later. But as we were saying, on to the next thing.
I'm just...
Did you want to say something, Syntax?
He's like, no, damn.
He's like, okay, never mind.
Similar to... Sorry, Syntax.
Go on, Kat, go on.
No, you go.
No, Syntax, you have the floor.
No, guys.
Go.
I was reading the comment of in the chat, and I didn't really listen as well, so I'm sorry. You go ahead, Syntax.
I just wanted to say the thing was that the CEO of Bohemia actually went to Mount Everest shortly after a shit ton of the DayZ copies was sold. That's what I meant by Mount Everest.
Wasn't that what's his name again? Dean Hall?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, he's not the CEO of Bohemia. He was the lead developer or lead producer of. He was the boss of DayZ, not Bohemia as a whole. Yes, Slave.
So he's not the CEO.
Oh, I'm doing 5 because I'm going to create one since we're all doing fingers now, and 2's reply, 1's just something else, and 5 is going to be we're off topic. We said we're moving on, but we're not.
Aiden McFadden says similar to State of Decay 2. I'm guessing it is. Type of population, which was a reply to Just I saying puppets have to be the threat, otherwise no reason to add them into the game.
I will agree and disagree with this. I agree because I definitely feel because it's PvP VE, there should be an E threat.
Yeah.
But in most games that do this, it's PvP 90%, and then the occasional enemy that you stumble across that isn't a threat at all because you just have to step out of its badly done AI combat mechanics. And then you take it out and you see another one like 5 to 15 minutes, maybe even longer down the road. I definitely think it should be State of Decay where you could just see them everywhere.
Yeah.
And they can still not be a big threat, but at least they have a presence and it feels like they're there, you know?
Yeah, and feels like if you misstep, you could go down the drain.
And then if they're in a group, it's not just something easy. Like, yeah, sure, you can take them out by yourself if they're alone. But if they gang up, that's the real problem.
Yeah.
Well, don't forget they've also implemented a system where if you shoot a gun nearby, all of the ones nearby will be attracted to you.
I really hope so, because I didn't know that before. But if that's true, that'd be something that would be great.
Yeah, because shooting a gun will not only attract the puppets, but it will also attract the Mr. Smiles if you're in one of the restricted areas.
I have a factual thing.
Okay.
It's puppies.
Yes,
It is
Sorry,
puppies.
My bad, puppies.
And also, a Squatch, same
Try to
factual
keep this
mistake.
steady.
Says that puppies or puppets, but it's supposed to be puppies and other things, I'm sure can be spawned into the game by developers to dynamically change the state of the game, aka horde.
It actually can,
puppies
yeah.
to split up a larger team or forest fires, possibly.
Yeah, it's actually been mentioned that if the game gets too boring
For
or
the
not
viewers,
eventful for the viewers or the audience, then the game will randomly spawn in something to make it entertaining. And now how I take this is that really comes to the question of who the audience is. Is it just the game deciding if something isn't happening or not? Or like how are they going to implement this to where they can accurately track if the game's boring or not eventful enough to do it? Do they just have like a timer set for each event that's going to come to certain areas, and it has like this algorithm that places like different spawn points for things so that they'll never be at the same area? And then at some points, are events going to be in the same area, like kind of like have a dual event right next to each other or something? Like how that's all done and taken care of is a mystery to me. I don't really know how they're going to do it or how they're going to implement when something can spawn or when a certain event's going to spawn or when just a horde of zombies is just going to be like, well, I'm going to drop here. Like, I don't know how that's going to happen yet.
So those random chaotic event things, I think it's probably going to be using something like a participation tracker for the events. So if there's a lot of people participating in the events, then those kind of things won't end up happening a lot. But if nobody's participating in them, or there's only a few participating, I have a feeling that's going to trigger these massive event or world events.
Okay, you can go first, and then I'll go for it.
Yeah, Just Size Gaming, who, by the way, has gotten it right. That's more what I was getting at. The whole thing about, which Slave said before, about puppies. Not one being a threat.
Oh, wait, 1 second. Pause, everybody. Syntax, we can't hear you. You're muted or something. Your mic is out. I didn't hear him.
Bloody fuck!
Oh, there we go. It's fixed now. He's good.
I muted my microphone and I talked several times already. Yay!
Back to Just Size Gaming, or Just Size Airlines. That's more what I was getting at. Not one being a threat, but if you can just walk away from like 50 puppies, and you rub puppies, not puppets.
Nice! It's spreading.
Yeah, that's a problem to me. And then Aiden McFadden replies with, yeah, I agree with that. There does have to be some sort of threat, but not so much so that it's impossible to get away alive.
Going on this, before I go into something on that, I'm going to actually reply to this. Ningenesis says, don't forget the addition of the Tech 1 bounty hunters, otherwise known as citizens, I believe. Or she's directly talking about how the Tech 1 bounty hunters are actually going to have their own puppies that will track you down, and those are the Tech 1 bounty hunters instead of the citizen mode that we talked about previously. And also, adding to what you were saying, I definitely think that the enemies in the game, the puppies, that's what I said, is that from what I've seen so far of the puppies, they worry me, because it's been mentioned that eventually they'll be able to act as different things, rather than just zombies. But on this mode, I'll finish this up real fast. On this, as they said before, everything's going to be implemented at the release at a basic stage, and will eventually go up to medium, expert, and master level AI, etc. over time. And CAG. Yeah,
two things. Number one, sorry, Aiden McFadden, he spelled his name out like how you're supposed to pronounce it. I'm still getting it wrong. I'm sorry. My bad. And also, I got a comment, not in the chat, but through Messenger, the Facebook thing, from my inarguably better half, sitting in the next room, saying puppies, puppies, puppies. What the hell kind of game are you talking about?
We're talking about a game that when
that is
you
exactly why we're calling them that.
when you walk around the corner, you'll see a horde of puppies, and they're so terrifying that you have to run from them. So yeah,
Yeah, they have fleas.
I actually honestly forget how we came up with puppies and like why we did this. I think we were just fooling around.
I think we were just messing around.
I mispronounced it, and then
Oh, okay, yeah, and then we were like, you know what, we're gonna make this a thing.
Oh, yeah.
That's what it was.
we've coined it.
Okay.
If this becomes a thing, this is where you heard it first.
puppies!
You know, okay, I see it. Honestly, I think I have to point out one thing. I think what we tried doing with this video and stream was a suggestion video. But honestly, I don't think we should do suggestions because no matter what, we just end up debating and then answering people's questions. I think it should just be a discussion like every time we do it and just bring in suggestions if we want.
Yeah, and besides, chat is really, joining in and having a lot of things worthy.
Not that I mind, by the way, for everybody who's watching. I do enjoy answering your questions and talking about this.
Yeah, and also, to prove my point here, that chat is also providing a lot of useful and very important information. And to prove my point, of course, Aiden McFadden says XD, it's alright. McFadden. I don't know.
McFladden.
You turned it into German.
Okay, so as he said...
Keep going.
Yeah, I was just saying to prove my point about providing a lot of useful information. The last chat message in my chat was XD. It's alright.
Okay. So do we have any questions? Because I could throw out a suggestion now that we, so we're not lying about our stream title.
We started with a suggestion though, or a question.
Yeah, no, I mentioned the whole trading card game that somebody suggested.
Oh, I actually thought that was a thing that was actually in the possible plans.
How about this one?
That's one of the suggestions that's in the SCUM Discord.
Oh, that was the plan, for fuck's sake.
Now I got the spelling from my inarguably better half, saying it's McFadden.
Oh, okay.
Is that right?
Okay. I have no idea.
Yeah, I obviously asked.
Okay. How about a suggestion? Random one out here that I'm gonna grab. Bicycles.
Yes.
Should they be added or not?
Should they be or not?
Yes.
I say yes.
Because I mean, it helps with fitness, and it's a transportation. So.
And you'd find it in a lot of cities around the world.
Now the question with this is adding on to this. If the bicycle is added, should it be one that has a cart that you can actually put your supplies in?
Yes and no.
It'd be a tough one because a lot of bikes that are coming out now don't really have that as an option.
Should it be electric bike though?
Oh yeah, because this is 20 years in the future. So should it be okay? You know what? Just calling it Tron bicycles.
Tron bicycles. Oh my god.
Tron bicycles.
That's a hard one to
I know it'd be too far for me, but
so brutal.
It's too far for me, but it's still cool to look at once.
I believe that the main problem with bicycles is that your character is most likely already gonna be overburdened by a shit ton of gear that you are wearing, and also very rarely does a bicycle enable you to go through the woods and stuff like that.
But there are off-road bikes available.
There are, but wait, are we talking about motorcycles?
No, we're talking about regular bicycles.
We're talking about paddle bikes.
Yeah, but try to even imagine those that could, in theory, take you through mountains, woods, and whatnot. Try imagining using them with, I don't know, 50, 60 kilograms of equipment on your fucking back.
As Ningenesis was saying, they definitely want bicycles. Like, yes, bicycles! Because of the soft scale increase. Plus, you're not going to want a motor for too long, but they say that bikes should be mountain bikes instead of anything if it's going to be bicycles are included.
Yeah, especially with how much off-road there is in the map.
However, she... Cover my voice. Somebody talk while I do this.
Talk.
Oh, jeez. Well, thank you guys for covering me. But they also mention pulling sweet tricks. However, if this was something you're saying should be added, if bikes are added, I disagree. I don't think there should be tricks because it's just a mode of transportation. At most, maybe a small cart that could fit like a water bottle and a thing of food or something.
And actually, I'm gonna add to your tricks. I think that'd be hilarious and epic if they add tricks that you can do with the bikes and the vehicles, and make it so that you can actually get more fame points for pulling those off successfully.
This is me saying, hold it. Devs, if you watch this anywhere ever, don't listen to Chaotic Rob. Don't ever add that. Don't do it, please.
Seconded.
Well, think about it. It's entertaining
burnout
for the viewers.
It's not burnout, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, this. Let's just stick with the survival aspect, and for modes that will help you with that, not some death game where you can do backflips or kickflips and kill people with certain skateboards or stuff like that.
Oh, but I want to ride a bike down that pipe that's at the dam.
You can try.
So how about we hire Dean Hall as a lead programmer or lead developer or whatever?
I have no idea who that is.
That's the guy who started DayZ.
No!
He's gonna spend all his money on whatever.
Yeah, what if he goes somewhere else? Like, what if this time he wants to go to Fiji?
Just my thought.
I'm just saying. Anybody, like, maybe you can take some people. Okay, I'll be honest here. Not everyone in DayZ might have done things. Like, maybe there is still people who are actually really dedicated and just, they haven't been able to do anything. So I don't want to condemn every developer of DayZ. Because I don't know, like, everything they've been through or who they are, how much work they're doing or anything like that. But at the same time, the game didn't work out in the end. It's just a simple fact of it's dead. And I don't want something that's dead to influence something that's now being made, you know?
I think we are coming too much to DayZ every time.
DayZ discussion then.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's
I don't really have too many other options I can
on.
go to compare it to. Other than Ark or Rust, for example. Jesus.
There's a program you should use. It's called Mic Mute.
Actually, if I do that, it will mess things up. I have my screen set up. To see the cameras of all of us, the stream itself, the messages, I have to keep everything at a specific angle for it to not do it. I'm using one monitor.
Yeah, he's only using one monitor for the stream. It's very
everything where it's...
I'm literally talking about the program you set up so that on a press of a key you mute or unmute your microphone.
A macro you mean?
Yeah, not a macro, it's literally a shortcut. You install the program, it goes to your system tray, and you set a shortcut.
I got this, are you ready? Does this work? Hello, how is everybody doing? Is this working?
You're still on.
Damn it, okay, never mind, it's not gonna work, I'm gonna have to set it up off thing then. Okay, so moving on!
Aiden
Yeah,
McFadden.
I've just got an analog switch in my headset. Makes it very easy.
Aiden McFadden says, so the game is supposed to be a prison survival show. Do you think there may be a 24/7 stream on Twitch from Gamepires in which it shows players in the game as if they are in the show?
Oh, actually, I was thinking of that.
Very cool.
Sorry, it was a follow-up thing. And whoever is watching the stream is like a viewer watching the show.
I thought that would be cool, and I think we actually talked about this in one of our previous streams where I brought it up to where I thought that it'd be cool if the drones were actually people watching as well. And that you brought it up, Chaotic Rob, to where maybe the drones can actually reveal people's locations or mess around or be able to send, maybe to an extent, send fame points. I'm saying maybe for maybe to an extent, send fame points to people that they want to support. Maybe, you know, maybe that's a suggestion that could be added.
Thing.
Yeah, kind of like if viewers don't want to play the game, but they still want to be able to help out. Maybe like through like some Twitch integration, they'll be able to send like 50 fame points or something if they liked what just happened or something.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been awesome.
I think that's an awesome idea, but it's gonna be bloody hard to implement.
Oh yeah, definitely. This is just like if they eventually be able to do that. And also, the mute button that I set up actually ended up muting myself for my stream, but it's because you guys can hear me as well, and I'm talking to you guys through Discord. That's why I didn't mute it.
Yeah, so it muted your mic for your headset, but it didn't mute it for everybody else.
Yeah,
Mic
let's
mute.
see. I got this. Ready?
Mic
Ready, guys?
You got it. I'm
But,
sorry. This is what we were supposed
know
to
what
do
the
when Slave fades out.
Yeah. You know what the problem is now?
Yeah.
We
What's the
can't
problem?
hear you, but your stream can still hear you.
I'll just hit both buttons at the same time.
Mic mute that, goddammit. Continue with
Or
suggestions.
you could just get a headset like mine that just has an analog switch on it for the microphone.
There we go. Everybody agrees in my chat. I can just hit both.
Or he can buy a semi-professional microphone.
For like $200+.
Actually, this one was less than 100. Continue with
but is that
suggestions.
American?
bloody hell.
But is that
Okay,
American?
so
Yes, it is. It's Marantz.
No,
I
I'm
just
saying
want
the price was the price in American currency.
Enough
I
about
just want to
that.
be able to point out to everyone in my chat and anyone else's chat that can hear me. Don't forget to leave down suggestions that you think you might want implemented in the game, because we'll all talk about that and debate what we think about it, and you can have your own opinions voiced as well.
We
Okay.
just got a perfect suggestion from chat.
Yeah.
Squatch here is asking thoughts on adding a Sasquatch into the game, roaming the
That would
forest.
be hysterical. Oh my
Um,
god. And with genetic
I-
engineering, they would actually be able to make one in the lab and send it out onto the island too.
I
would
guess.
be awesome.
I mean, to go on to that, Nin Genesis just said explosive chickens. So, with explosive chickens and Sasquatch, I think, in my opinion, I wouldn't want either added to the game.
How about this? Not add them
Sorry.
as permanently in the game.
Oh, an event
How
like
about-
Halloween.
Now, let's say something like that. You have a specific day or a specific week or some shit like that, and then you add something hilarious to the game like that. I think it
That
would work
could
out
work.
good.
I could do that.
Like
I could be okay with that.
switch out the puppies with Sasquatches, or
Yeah, like for like Halloween or
Yeah.
Easter or like any type of holiday or something.
and a Sasquatch would
Halloween,
basically
switch out all the puppets with friggin' little
Puppies.
they could
Oh no,
puppies.
not puppies. What is it? That's Chucky doll. Just had these little Chucky dolls running
Oh,
around everywhere.
okay, one thing I gotta point out, guys. Imagine if, just right now, let's just hypothetically say a dev saw this, and like, oh, this is a great idea, and later on in the future, they actually made the puppets into actual puppies because
Oh,
we
that'd
said
be
it.
hilarious.
Bloody hell.
How cool would that be?
Awesome.
Although, obviously, I'd have to stop my stream because then a bunch of people would be like, you're killing puppies!
You saw it here first.
You monster. Remember, if this happens, we said this.
Slide Air Show.
You heard it here
asks-
first, people.
Slide Air Show, Airsoft. Sorry, Slide Airsoft. Says, will there be a prison in the map we can explore?
I'm gonna have to say, just because we are prisoners, I would say 99% confirmed there's a prison.
I have a
Uh,
feeling it's probably going to
not
be where the safe zone
necessarily.
is.
No?
No.
You guys
As it-
disagree?
The island itself is a prison. We have
Yeah.
prisons like that. We have that in Norway.
Well, they
So
might
actually,
have a security,
basically, it is
like
a prison because the island is the prison, so he was actually right.
Yeah, haha! No I'm kidding. Okay, so if they're gonna add an actual prison in the island, inside the
As a
giant
structure.
prison, fine, I'll change that and say, because the island's a prison in itself and they're being sent there as prisoners, I'll say
Will there be a
50-50.
prison
I'll say
building?
50-50. I think it would be cool if they added a prison, just because everybody's prisoners, but at the same time, I don't think it's a necessity.
I think there actually might be something like a detention center or something like that. For instance, let's say that the producers had something specific in mind for the convicts, but they had problems with certain convicts having some certain knowledge that would prevent the event from happening. Maybe they had some kind of a detention center where the SWAT would go in, take those problematic prisoners away, and detain them until the event is over or some shit like that.
Yeah, I have a feeling
Oh.
it'll probably be heavily fortified with a bunch of Mr. Smileys.
So I got something. What about, like, this is obviously a suggestion, and like, what do you think about it? Is what if they made it to where one of the events where certain prisoners were designated as police, like you said, and had to capture them while they were in their own event to kind of stop, like, counter what they were doing, like, kind of a way to like. Maybe like the most famous people, like they're like, okay, we no longer want these people to win this match. kind of like sabotage their event so that they can't get more famous or something. You know, because stuff like that happens in reality shows that are like about movies when it's bad idea like that. They don't want people to win. They want to fix the game. Like maybe they might add something to fixing certain things in a way.
Maybe.
That could be interesting.
Sure.
But I think
Otherwise known as no.
all right, here comes actually a chat from my my better half, sitting across the other side of the wall over there. Will there be an open world persistent world mode? I see a lot of cool battle royale versions, but wondering if there will be persistent world modes.
I can actually answer
where
this.
Character could live indefinitely. I just want to point out I'm pretty sure she's found this online somewhere, and she's going to tell me for saying that.
For my answer for this is all the worlds are persistent worlds. To set it up to explain it to you is in the world you're in, the base mode is going to be survival. You go into whatever server you choose. You live in this world, and your goal is to survive as long as possible and eventually escape the island. Now, events will pop up in the world you're in, and you will be able to choose whether you want to go to the event or not. So you would have to travel to that area, join the event, and then you can come back out of the event after.
Actually, I don't think you have to travel to the area. I think what happens is a drone comes and picks you up when you decide to participate in the event.
Well, as far as that goes, I have nothing confirmed.
You where you were.
I have nothing confirmed that shows that.
It would
if you do or not.
It would tie in with well, we talked about this on the last live stream where the prisoners would get picked up by the drone for
leaving the game.
Yeah, and it would be a extension.
It could be a feature. It's definitely plausible. It's just I haven't heard anything to confirm it or not.
Also, will this game allow for base building and barricading existing buildings?
Do you want to answer that? Because we've all gone over this and I've explained it to you. Okay, yeah. You'll be able to fortify pre-existing bases.
So, base building, no. You won't be able to build a base from scratch with the exception of, like, a tent. Other than that, there will be fortification, but the fortification won't come into effect until after
the EA phase
starts.
And then also, I can add to that. You will actually be able to earn or buy with fame points keys that will allow you to essentially own one of the houses or buildings that are already in the game. And then there's also going to be forts you'll be able to take over from puppets or whatever AI threat is there, or even other players that you will have to fix up, get a generator and then oil or fuel to run it, and then actually defend it from other players and AI alike.
Hopefully we answered your question with that.
Yeah.
I definitely get that answer.
If not, she can ask me later.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I'll call it there for today, for my own part. But are you guys going to continue?
Well,
I'm thinking of actually doing a different stream a little bit later on in the day, so I think I'll end it off here as well.
I think before we go, if anybody has any last minute questions.
Yeah,
I can do that.
There was one that just came. All I want to know is, this is from Sire Reunion? Or Sire Reunion. All I want to know is, when you die and you have fame, do you merely respawn and lose all your gear, but keep skills? This is my understanding about it. Also, will high fame players respawn with sponsored loot? Basically,
what happens when you die in this game, you will be able to use fame in order to purchase a limited amount of your skills that you had beforehand. So if you die, think of yourself as being tier 3, you're going to go down to tier 2 or tier 1 of what you were beforehand. And then you can actually use fame points to actually purchase, in a sense, your weapons and gear back to be able to keep it. Although, from what it's been explained and how I've seen it from Dev Replies, you're not going to be able to keep everything. And it's definitely confirmed you won't be able to keep all your skills at the level they were at when you died. And then I also have a reply from somebody that I'd like to jump in and throw. Nin Genesis says, safe zones. Would be nicer for the devs to have some video of how they might appear. I think there was a discussion on banks, etc. Not really a question, I guess, just a thought, considering they're supposed to provide like a community and meet and greet. And for this, I can answer and also say that safe zones are going to be about, I said 700 meters to a kilometer last time, guys, right?
Yeah, that's the rope, right?
Yep, that's about the size of each safe zone, and there's going to be some work in progress ones on release, but they're not all going to be there, and some of them might not even be finished at the release, but they will be, and eventually where you will be able to go into these safe zones, and you will be able to talk to people without everybody killing each other. Anybody got any last questions?
Got a couple of hang on. Ida replies that you will have the option to spend your fame points in order to keep your experience, skills, and items. More you decide to keep, more expensive it gets. Squatch says planting viruses into one's BCU, corrupting data displayed to a character. And then
hacking.
Aiden McFadden
Actually,
is saying thanks for the stream. It was fun and very nice to interact with other people excited about the game. I want to say thank you to the people coming out.
Actually,
Glad to have you around.
Slave.
Okay, let's talk.
Syntax.
Guys, let him talk!
I'm sorry.
Syntax.
Go ahead, Sid. You have the floor.
So actually what Squatch was asking is about hacking, which we already went into. So hacking into drones, Mr. Smiles, other players' BCUs, and then he asked about planting viruses into other BCUs, corrupting data displayed onto a character. I think that would play well into what I suggested the last stream about being able to hack your own BCU even and upgrade it. I think this would also be good so that you can hack other ones and corrupt their, as he said, displays and shit like that.
Yeah, and
But with
I
that
guess
being said, the devs really haven't gone into details as to what you can and cannot do with hacking yet.
yes, but they have hinted at you will be able to mess with the BCUs of the puppets at least. They have hinted that, and the drones. So let's see where it exactly goes when they can actually confirm exactly what you'll be able to do. But for now, as we said, if you want to look at the past streams we have, unless do you guys have your VODs enabled, or do you still not?
I believe, yes. I have my videos saved.
If you want to be able to see the past streams, you'll be able to go to Cha0ticrob's or SyntexToxy's past streams in their on their channel, and then Completely Average Gaming myself will have it on YouTube.
Oh yeah,
which is the same name that we have on Twitch as well. So it's the full stream of the previous one we had. This one will also be up, and then also the one before this one and after the first stream will be there. So there'll be 3 streams in total of content you'll be able to actually watch and listen to us reply to people like you have questions about the game.
And the last one was, or not the last one, but the one before that was flipping long. It was how long?
Yeah,
4 hours.
It was 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
So we had a 3.5 hour, then a 2 hour, and now we're having a 1 hour one.
Well, I think it went over
1.5. The classic us, right?
Yeah.
We're still trying to get this figured out, okay?
Well, it's because it's something that we really like, and it's really hard to stop talking about something you like, especially if you're having a great discussion with yourself, other people, and the audience.
I love how you started with yourself.
Here need to get some kind of
I had to. Okay, but as for me, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe on YouTube, and then also follow on Twitch for me, and follow everyone else here who's on Twitch, because we will be doing more streams like this, hopefully as soon as we can. Eventually, we might even come up with a schedule when we'll be able to do it, but right now, it's whenever we all are able to get together and do it.
Yeah.
And if you have access to the SCUM Discord, we also have all of our videos set up, or sorry, all of our streams set up so that they're linked to the live stream podcast section within the SCUM official Discord.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, well, that's all I have to say, other than the fact that I enjoyed doing the stream again, and I enjoyed answering all of your questions, and hopefully I'll see you guys in our next stream.
Yeah, and the plan is that some of us, or some subgroup of us, will be trying to manage to live stream at least once a day.
And another thing I do have to point out that we will not always be a 4-man group. There will be times where, because of our different time zones and what we have going on in the week, it may be just 2 of us, it may be 3, it may be 4, or maybe just one of us playing the game by ourselves with a totally different group.
I plugged the Discord server to our group in the chat, so for those of you who want to hang out and maybe join in later on, be sure to check that out.
I will actually try to
grab
grab
a timer on mine.
Can you post it in the group so that I can send it to my Twitch so everybody watching me can actually...
Alright, I'll do that, but it will screw up my webcams.
I am sorry.
Dave, you should have your setup as a timer on your bot.
Oh,
There's no
well,
bot
I'll just
for
do
YouTube.
it anyways. I'm not on YouTube. I'm streaming to Twitch.
No, I was talking to Chaotic.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh no, I was just saying to the
I got
slave,
it
so
now.
he doesn't have to go and get it again. It's already
Boom.
Yeah,
a timer on his bot.
I got it now.
Welcome to Sinker Cookie.
Anyways,
And also, I think there's a problem with the damned bot announcing these streams. It hasn't announced anyone's but slaves.
Yeah.
Oh, it announced mine.
but
Yeah. Okay.
Oh no, today it didn't.
But as Kag and I are trying to get to, this is the end of the
That's weird.
stream. Thank you guys for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed it and got your questions answered. And
it's been
we'll come back.
awesome. It's been awesome. Thank you so much for all your input as well.
Yeah,
There's been a
indeed.
lot of
It's
things
been
going on.
phenomenal talking with you guys and getting all this information out.
Yeah, and thanks to the chat, we've also had a lot of topics. What is this
You guys
sign?
have a nice day.
What is
It
this
was
sign?
what I saw Syntex doing it, so I was like, okay,
Metal
but
head, damn it.
I'll see you guys later.
Cheerio,
Good job, folks.